There is a bit of logic to this. Giant swappers like that tend to float a bit, which is why creek crossings can be dangerous. If you float a bit, you may not be able to counter the current. Jeep, take it out and play with it. Vintage retro shirt. And use one of a million different ways to get out of those holes. But floating out isn't an option anymore when your axles are buried. Anyway, after longer than I'd like to admit, I decided to throw the floor mats under the front wheels. And I got myself out. It was like a never heard from my date again. And it took over 5 hours to get back to Denver. But all in all, a wonderful story of failure and redemption. Kinda. On the beach with a winch. If there's no tree, you can also dig a deep hole. Throw your spare tire in it. Attach your winch to the tire and fill the hole to winch yourself out. It ain't pretty and it's hard work, but helps in an emergency. Jeep, take it out and play with it. Vintage retro shirt. Tank top. V-neck. Ladies' tee for men and women. Tank top. V-neck. Automatic Jeeps terrify me. Not because they're bad, but Jeep, take it out and play with it. Vintage retro shirt. I've only had manual Jeeps. Sometimes that auto would be nice when you hung up in the rocks. In theory, you can attach the winch to the spare tire and bury the tire. It looks like he is a bit too deep for that to work though. You're supposed to do it as soon as you lose traction. When you've spun the tires for so long the chassis is sitting on the ground like it's on jack stands. Sad story in the Australian outback. Whose Jeep got stuck in the sand? The guy tried walking to civilization. When they found them weeks later, they just let the air out of the tires. And just drove the Jeep straight out. From that Ray Mears show? If it is the one I am thinking of, they also left their name with a local hostel before going out. But a change in shifts meant that no one detected they were missing even though they had their name down and hadn't returned. Official Jeep, take it out and play with it. Vintage retro sweatshirt. Hoodie. Sweatshirt. Hoodie. I'm not kidding when I say my neighbor had a Lamborghini. Jeep, take it out and play with it. Vintage retro shirt. Uncovered most of the time. Because his garage was filled with shelves of women's shoes for some reason. We lived in villas, not apartments. Every once in a while our morning commutes coincided. And the guy just didn't know how to drive. You don't drive 35 kilometers per hour in an 80 zone to protect your car. This is more likely to damage it. I own a Jeep. Off-roading is not. Other products. And NBSP.